I was scrolling this morning and suddenly realized I had no idea why I even opened the app in the first place.
That's actually more common than people admit. It's almost like muscle memory at this point.
Exactly. I unlocked my phone to check one message, and somehow I ended up watching videos for 20 minutes.
That's the design. Everything is built to keep you there. Infinite scrolling, autoplay. It's not accidental.
I know, but what bothers me is how automatic it feels, like I'm not even making a conscious decision anymore.
It's a bit unsettling, right? You think you're in control, but the platforms are nudging your behavior constantly.
Do you ever feel like social media distorts your sense of reality?
All the time. Especially when it comes to how people present their lives. Everything looks polished, curated, almost too perfect.
Yeah, and you know it's not real, but it still affects you somehow.
That's the tricky part. Even when you're aware it's selective, it still creates this subtle pressure.
Pressure to what? Be more successful, more interesting?
All of that. Better lifestyle, better body, better everything. It sets a standard that's not even realistic.
I've caught myself comparing my worst days to someone else's highlight reel.
That's a classic trap. And it can slowly chip away at your self-esteem if you're not careful.
Do you think it's possible to use social media in a healthy way?
I think it is, but it requires intention. You can't just use it passively.
What do you mean by intention?
Being selective about what you consume, who you follow, how much time you spend, even when you use it.
So basically, setting boundaries.
Exactly. Otherwise, it takes over more space in your life than you realize.
I tried deleting a couple of apps once. It felt strange at first, like I was missing something important.
And were you?
Not really. After a few days, I actually felt more present, like my mind was quieter.
That makes sense. There's less noise, less constant input.
But then I reinstalled them.
Of course you did.
It's just, I didn't want to feel disconnected, like everyone else is in the loop, and I'm not.
That fear of missing out is powerful, even when you know it's irrational.
Do you think people are actually more connected because of social media, or just more exposed to each other?
That's a good question. I'd say more exposed than genuinely connected.
Yeah, I feel that too. You see what people are doing, but you're not really engaging in a meaningful way.
Exactly. Liking a post isn't the same as having a conversation,
Or spending time together in real life.
right? There's a depth missing in most interactions online.
But at the same time, it does make it easier to stay in touch with people who live far away.
That's one of the positive sides. It removes distance, at least superficially.
I've reconnected with old friends because of it.
Same here. But the challenge is maintaining those connections beyond just occasional messages.
Do you think social media has changed how we communicate in general?
Definitely. Communication has become faster, but also more fragmented.
What do you mean by fragmented?
Short messages, emojis, quick reactions. We're communicating in smaller pieces.
And maybe with less depth?
In many cases, yes. There's less patience for long conversations.
That's interesting because here we are having one.
Exactly. And it feels different, doesn't it?
It does. It feels more real.
Because it requires attention. You're actually listening and responding, not just reacting.
I wonder if people are losing that skill.
Listening?
Yeah, really listening. Without distractions.
It's possible. When you're used to constant stimulation, silence can feel uncomfortable.
I've noticed that. Even when I'm alone, I feel the urge to check something.
That's the habit loop. You feel a moment of boredom and your brain immediately looks for a quick reward.
Like opening an app.
Exactly.
Do you think boredom is actually important?
I do. It gives your mind space to think, reflect, even be creative.
But we don't allow ourselves to be bored anymore.
Not often. We fill every gap with content.
It's strange because we have more information than ever, but sometimes I feel less focused.
That's a common effect. Too much input can actually reduce your ability to concentrate.
So social media is kind of a double-edged sword.
That's a good way to put it. It has benefits, but also significant downsides.
What about authenticity? Do you think people are less authentic online?
In many cases, yes. People tend to present a version of themselves that's more appealing.
A filtered version?
Exactly. Not necessarily fake, but definitely edited.
Do you think that's intentional or just natural?
A bit of both. There's a natural desire to be seen positively, but the platform amplifies it.
Because you get feedback instantly.
Likes, comments, shares, it reinforces certain behaviors.
So people learn what works and repeat it.
Yes, and over time that can shape how they see themselves.
That sounds a bit dangerous.
It can be, especially if someone starts tying their self-worth to online validation.
I've seen people delete posts if they don't get enough likes.
That's a clear example. It shows how external feedback can influence behavior.
Do you think younger people are more affected by this?
Probably. They've grown up with it, so it's more integrated into their identity.
Whereas we experienced life before all this.
Exactly. We have a point of comparison.
Sometimes I wonder what it would be like to grow up without ever knowing a world without social media.
It would definitely shape your perception differently.
Do you think it's possible to fully disconnect nowadays?
Fully? Probably not unless you make a very deliberate lifestyle choice.
But maybe partial disconnection is enough.
I think so. You don't have to eliminate it completely, just reduce its influence.
Like using it as a tool instead of letting it use you.
That's a good distinction.
I've been trying to be more mindful lately. For example, not checking my phone first thing in the morning.
That's a strong habit to build. How's it going?
It's harder than I expected. My instinct is to reach for it immediately.
That says a lot about how ingrained it is.
But when I don't, my mornings feel calmer.
That's a good sign. Small changes can have a big impact over time.
Do you think social media affects relationships?
It can. Sometimes people spend more time interacting online than with the person next to them.
I've seen couples sitting together, both on their phones.
That's become quite normal, unfortunately,
It creates a kind of emotional distance.
even if they're physically close.
Exactly.
Do you think we're aware of that, or has it become invisible?
I think it's becoming normalized, which makes it harder to notice.
That's a bit concerning.
It is, but awareness is the first step to changing it.
So what would you say is a healthy balance?
Using social media intentionally, setting limits, and prioritizing real-life interactions.
Sounds simple, but not easy.
Most things worth doing aren't easy.
True.
At least conversations like this remind me of what actually matters.
Same here. It's a good reset.
Maybe that's the key, just stepping back every now and then.
And asking yourself if what you're doing is adding value or just filling time.
I like that. It's a simple question, but it changes your perspective.
It does.
I think I'm going to be a bit more conscious about it from now on.
Let's see how long that lasts.
Fair point, but even trying is a start.
Agreed.